Hi, my name is Joanna Aitcheson. I'm a freelance floral designer in Hamilton, Ontario, and I'm here to teach you how to make a wreath today. So what you want to start with is your supplies. So you need floral wire. You're going to need some clippers. You'll need some birch branches, something that will bend fairly easily without snapping. You're also going to need some cedar sprigs or some sort of other evergreen sprig that you can work with. And you'll also need some berries and pine cones and little accents that you can use to make your wreath really stand out and look good. So most of the supplies that you're going to need for your wreath are pretty easy to come across. A lot of the natural things that I use today you can forage from the outdoors. So you can find birch branches lying around, and same with cedar and any other kind of evergreen pine cones as well. But if you live somewhere where you don't have access to nature, or you don't have a backyard with a tree, you can certainly go to your local florist and they will sell you supplies for wreath making. As far as the wire goes, I used a 26 gauge. You want it to be fairly easy to bend and twist around your wreath. And I prefer to use one that's covered in brown paper so that it's a lot less visible than a silver or a bright green wire. I purchased my clippers at Lee Valley, and you can order them online. You can also use just regular garden shears. So you're gonna start with a pretty long branch. The length of the branch will dictate how large your wreath is. I'm starting with this guy. So you're gonna start to sort of just bend it carefully so that you don't snap it, but you wanna start getting a sort of circular shape. So you can see I've got a good circle there. It's not quite perfect, and it's not going to look perfect because it's sort of a rustic style, but just make sure that you've got your base shape, and then you're going to want to cut a couple pieces of wire. And start just twisting it around so that you hold it in place. Keep adding until you feel like you have sufficient branches on your wreath, making it look full enough and kind of interesting and whimsical enough. Secure your branches into a circular shape. And I find winding the wire around twice is a little bit better, so you just make sure it's not going to move anywhere on you. Just make sure that the branches are sitting where you want them to. You don't want them to be too symmetrical or too the same all the way around. A little bit of sort of unpredictability is nice. And then you're going to take your cedar, and I got BC cedar. Some of the pieces have little mini pine cones on them, which I think makes it look really cute and adds a little bit of extra to it. So I'm just going to snip off some pieces that I like the look of. I'm going to start to drape the cedar sort of how it naturally falls. So you want to create a laurel. I like that so far, so I'm going to wire it in so that I don't lose that look. That these guys don't move anywhere. And the evergreen will get smaller as it dries out throughout the month. So make sure that your wire is a little bit tighter than you think you need it to be, because you don't want things falling out. So I feel that that's pretty secure now. So I can start to add my accents at this point. I'm going to add some eucalyptus pods, and you can use anything, some berries or some sprigs from a tree or whatever you find out in nature that you are inspired by and that you like the look of. I'm just laying them out the same exact way as I did with the cedar. And then securing them into place with a little piece of wire. And if you want to make your life a little bit easier, you can pre-cut the wire too, so that it's ready and you don't have to worry about kind of holding things in place. I'm just going to trim a few extra little branches that I don't want visible. So I think I'm happy with the way that that's sitting now, and so I can start to add my finishing touch, which is these small pine cones. And what you'll want to do is take a long piece of wire, feed it through the base of the pine cone, and then twist it on your other side so that you've got a nice little tail coming out for the end. Do that with a few more pine cones. I like to do odd numbers. I don't like to go with 4. I prefer 3 or 5. So I'm going to do 5 today because they're quite small. Once they're all wired, just take your largest one. It'll be in the center, and you're going to use it to partially cover up this wire, but also it's just a nice starting point. So take that and take the 2 sides, put them over top of the center, and then start securing them in place by twisting the wire and just kind of playing with it to make sure that it sits how you want it to sit. And then I'm going to add the rest of my pine cones. I want them to look really natural, as if they just grew on the wreath. So make sure to keep that in mind when you're placing them. You don't want them to look too symmetrical. I'm just going to play around with them now and make sure that they're sitting where I want them to sit and they look properly positioned. And then your last step is to take a piece of wire, and you're going to want to create a small loop for yourself. So just twist it, and then find out where you want to hang it from. And since I want mine to be sort of not centered or on the bottom or top, I want it to be on the side, then I'm just going to put it right in the middle here. I'll just put in any excess wire that I've got. And then I'm ready to hang my wreath.